Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. Oh my gosh, I saw this article on this young man, and I said I must bring him on to share everything that there is to know about Central Florida Dementia-friendly Dining and Nana's Books Foundation. Fascinating article. I did a little bit of research, and I thought this is something everybody in our area, pretty much everybody, needs to know. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Dennis Dulniak. Dennis, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful, Ted. It's great to be with you and your audience.
Well, we're very excited to have you. I always think that I know everything that goes on in our world here in Central Florida, and obviously I am reminded of how that is absolutely not true. I did not know about dementia-friendly dining. I did not know it existed, and I just am amazed at how awesome the project is. But we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna talk about Nana's Books Foundation. But first, give them a little 411 on you. The audience loves an origin story, and they'd love to know how you got from point A to point B, Dennis.
Well, Nancy and I were educators for 40 years. And Nancy was a career librarian, lifelong, who had issues in her work. We realized that her issues would create a retirement situation, which she took. After her retirement, we checked out her medical condition and identified that she was having issues because of mild cognitive impairment. Mild cognitive impairment typically is a precursor for Alzheimer's or dementia. And it's also labeled as a disability. And so we both kick ourselves for not getting it checked out while she was still employed, since we both carried long-term disability insurance. And so her retirement necessitated that, but that was okay. We were able to get by. And then I realized with MCI being a condition of the precursor and the fact that her mom had died of Alzheimer's in her mid-80s, Nancy was only 62. And so I decided to also take retirement and spend our time together, trying to work together to abate the disease's progression. She was diagnosed officially with early onset Alzheimer's in January of 2015, which she then battled for over 7 years before passing in January of 2021.
Wow. I'm sorry. That is a life's work. And I think a lot of people don't understand Alzheimer's. I think a lot of people don't understand dementia. They don't understand the difference. They don't understand how it works. And a lot of people are living with MCI, and a lot of people are living with a lot of what you just described. And if you're not in it, you don't realize the caretaking of that and how you really have to change how you live your life. So I'm sure that's how Central Florida Dementia-free Dining came into play. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think when I first read the article, I was fascinated, and I just thought, God, we need more of this. So tell them about your efforts and your initiative.
Well, this all started when our son Craig sent us an article from the Washington Post outlining dementia-friendly dining in Huntington, West Virginia. And Nancy and I would go out to dinner as often as we could. And I would actually take her out of her memory care community to go dine. Well, one of the nights that I took her out to the meatball stop, I had just read this article and looked around the room, and I said, this could be Central Florida's first dementia-friendly dining.
I love them there. I love them.
I invited the owners over. I pitched the idea, and Isabella, her face lit up and said, could I be first? And it was the start of it. And so we worked toward doing the training of her staff on making sure that the staff was then familiar with what's different in serving families and loved ones with dementia, because there are definite differences. And so in January of 2020, we opened dementia-friendly dining in Central Florida at the Meatball Stop.
Beautiful.
Only
Oh, go
to
ahead.
be
I'm sorry.
yeah, only to be closed. I'm sorry, Ted. 6 weeks later, COVID
Oh,
hit.
because of COVID.
And so it had a limited access for that short period of time, and then went into remission for over 2 years. And then finally, once the numbers started coming down, I had conversations with the owners at the Meatball Stop, and then my two other restaurants that I was actually queuing to open up back in 2020. They both agreed that they would open up in May of 2022. And so we now have three restaurants in Central Florida, one in East Orlando at the Meatball Stop, the second, the Townhouse in Oviedo, and the third, another family-owned restaurant, Patio Grill in Sanford. And all of them have identified specific days and times where they set aside their back room or side area and have staff who are trained in the differences of dealing and serving families, so that we can now take our loved ones to a safe environment and enjoy life like we had been doing previously, and still help out the situation, because we're removing the isolation that exists with dementia. That fear of, what is my loved one going to do if I take them out in public?
Right.
How will they act? Will they create a scene? Will other people stare? And that has been pretty common for people with special needs. And of course, with dementia, this is a special needs case.
Yes. Tell me about the what that looks like, because I read the article, obviously, but give the audience an idea of what the training is involved. What do the staff have to do differently? What is the restaurant? You mentioned obviously having a separate area that they can set up at a certain certain days and times of the week. But what does that look like as far as the training goes, and how the staff and the restaurants approach it differently?
Well, the training takes about 30 minutes. That's about all, because we're focusing on the differences. And in many cases, I try to cue on their servers who may have experience with a family member with dementia or a special needs case. And so I introduced the topic of what dementia-friendly dining is. We talk about dementia and Alzheimer's as an umbrella of, they don't need to know the specifics or the effects, but the fact that this is not uncommon and becoming more common, unfortunately, in our society. And so when I do the training, we talk about the changes in the brain that might be affected. And this is not going into detail, but talking about what's different, how to approach that person, so that we're not approaching them from the side or the back. We're coming from the front. We're trying to get their eye contact. We're always smiling and trying to keep that positive piece. We're talking slower. We're talking in terms of trying to help them out, providing some water for nourishment, because we know that it's important that they be hydrated, and dehydration does increase the effects of dementia.
Absolutely.
And so we make sure that the servers are open to the situation, are open to the fact that this person with dementia may not be able to respond. They may not act like a regular customer, and their caregiver who's with them or their family members may be assisting them. But the love of this is truly by when they serve this family, that caregiver can feel the respite, this help, the support that many of us caregivers need, because when we're taking care of our loved one, it's a 24/7 responsibility.
Yes. My father-in-law had dementia, and I just remember watching, we went to his favorite place, one of his favorite places. And I thought that there was a glimmer of, they kind of at his point anyway, and I don't know what level he was at. But obviously, that restaurant, which was a larger restaurant, had dealt with that before. And so the servers were very, I felt like very in tune and very cognizant of what was going on. And it made a difference because it could have been completely different if the server thought, oh, that's a rude person, or they tried to come at them from the back or the side when they're speaking. There's just little nuances that if you adjust, make a big difference in. But you bring up the thing about respite, and I think that to me is so huge. As the caregiver, it is a nonstop 24/7 job. It's your loved one. And so you want to get a little bit, any kind of semblance of the way things were, and maybe a little break, a little rest, a little normalcy back. And so I give you big kudos for that. The caretaking, you do it out of love, obviously, but it is still laborious, and it is still taxing, and it still takes a lot out of you, mind, body, and soul and spirit. So kudos to you. I think it's so important. How do we get more restaurants involved? Is that part of the mission?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got 3 now. Just last week, I interviewed the owners of another restaurant that we're hoping to start up in August. And I'm really thrilled about that. If there are restaurants out there, or if people know of owners who have this back room, side room, an openness to be able to set this aside for at least 3 hours a day, a week, a month, they can email me at the website is at the bottom scrolling. They can contact me through that website, and I would love to be able to reach out and explore whether or not we can expand this 3 to 13 or 30 or how many ever we need.
Absolutely. And I think that as we share this, as the audience shares it, either with their favorite restaurant, I think the word will spread. You're also doing such an amazing job. The local media has gotten a hold of what you're accomplishing and what Isabella and those beautiful people there are doing. And I think it's so amazing. So kudos to you. I want you to come back as you have news. I do want to talk about Nana's Books Foundation, though. So tell us about that.
Well, I appreciate the segue to Nana's Books, but let me hit one more thing about dementia-friendly dining. Next Tuesday, well, depending upon when this airs, June 21st is the longest day. And the longest day is identified by the Alzheimer's Association to bring awareness and opportunities in communities. And so I've gotten all 3 of my restaurants to open specially on this day so that we can offer this as a special opportunity for these families. And so
love that. I will make sure that gets blasted when we share this to the groups and everyone like that. I did not know that. See, again, learn something new every time I have a guest on like you.
That's why I wear the shirt.
I know, I love the shirt too. You know, I love that color, obviously. So tell us about Nana's Books Foundation.
Well, just before Nancy died, my sons and I thought about how we were going to honor her legacy. And so we thought of this concept, her being a lifelong librarian, to be able to create a foundation, which is now a 501c3 nonprofit foundation that is delivering books to public libraries and to students and schools of Title I schools. And this past year, we donated to her hometown library, the Pember Library in Granville, New York. And just in April, we delivered 825 books to her hometown school district. And so we're very proud that each student, all 301 in PK to grade 3, got a book. All 14 classroom libraries in grades PK to grade 6 got a set of books. Wow. And each school library, there are 3 schools in Granville, New York, they got another set of books, so that we now have books on Alzheimer's, dementia, and other disabilities that are now in their community. And we're looking to expand this operation. I would love to be able to add people of volunteers for identifying books that would be grade appropriate. I would love to be able to have a cadre of people volunteering for our board of directors, because the three of us, the two sons and me, are right now riding herd on this, and we're excited. And we'll be announcing a special fundraising drive for Nancy's 71st birthday, which will be July 11th, so that we can have the resources that we can expand to other communities.
Is there a website for Nana's Books Foundation?
It is nanasbooks.org.
I love it. I will make sure that gets in there. I think you might have put it in there, but I will put it in there again. I want to ask you, as we close out, and I will encourage everyone, please, we've all been touched by this. If it's not the literacy, if it's not education, if it's not dementia and Alzheimer's, you know you've been touched in some way, shape, or form by this. We all have. Tell me about where you're, on a personal level, where does your resilience and tenacity come from, Dennis? Because you have a great spirit about you. It's calm and calming. And I think that is a true testament to being an amazing caregiver. I have no doubt in my mind. Where does that come from?
Well, my educational background, 40 years in higher education, has given me that level of patience and communicative abilities to be able to share the story. And that's vitally important, because each family has a story to tell. And for us to share and gain respect as well as share the resources has been important. And as part of that, Ted, I also facilitate a men's support group for Alzheimer's and dementia, because I feel it's very important that men have this opportunity to talk with other men about the issues they face that are frequently different from that faced by women caregivers.
It's amazing what you do. All right. You all, I want you to go to Central Florida Dementia-friendly Dining.com, nanasbooks.org. I'm tagging Dennis. I'm tagging everything that I possibly can tag, because I want you to get involved. This is a much needed service here, a much needed education, I feel like, on all levels. It just feels like that is the resources, the more resources we can provide, the more touch of normalcy that we can give the patient and the caregiver during this. It's just a beautiful thing. Dennis, amazing what you're doing. Please come back on anytime. I will make sure that this absolutely gets posted and blasted before the longest day on the 21st. And I want you guys to get involved. Reach out to Dennis anytime. Reach out to me. I'll get you to him. Bless you, my friend. I think it's amazing what you do. And I think you are touching lives and impacting caregivers. It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful thing.
Thank you for having me on, Ted. And God bless you too.
God bless you. All right, guys. You're always looking for something to get involved with. If that didn't touch your heart, you need to wake up. Let's throw some cold water on you. Make sure you're still alive. Beautiful, Dennis. Thank you. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.